G'day, I'm Pete Tec Man Coman, and welcome to a very, very special episode of The Tech Effect. Today, we have live, that's right, live from Barcelona, ISE 2023, we have Mark the Bearded Tech Skehan. He will be joining us to share all the highlights and possibly some lowlights of ISE 2023. So stay tuned and enjoy the show. G'day everyone, I'm really excited about today's show because we have the other guy, yes, also known as Mark the Bearded Tech Skehan, joining us live from ISE 2023 in Barcelona. Mark, welcome to the show. How's ISE?
Pete, mate, I'm so glad. This is the buzz of the century. This place, ISE 2023, Barcelona.
Barcelona.
I'm almost getting good at the accent. I know two words.
You would fit right in. Your accent and the Spanish people, the people from Barcelona. I mean, you're not going to stand out from the crowd.
No, and my beard, they just look at this guy and go, what the? He's growing on his face. Anyway, mate, I'm really pumped to be here, actually. This is, and you can probably hear behind me there's some background noise and stuff.
Yep.
We're right at we are the last podcast show, essentially, that is being held for the whole event, right? So this is as latest as we can possibly go. We have pushed the envelope, and you know, there's a happy hour behind me, and we're in the influencers lounge, and we're doing our influencer thing.
So you're an influencer now, Mark.
Yeah, look, we've got that was Joe Way walking behind me, and Justin Dawson, and there's some cool people. Apparently, I'm an influencer. In fact, I'd really like to take this tag off. But do you know what's been really cool? This is the media pass, right?
Yep.
So if nothing else, it's really good for skipping the queues and get. You just
free stuff.
Yeah,
free stuff.
All the vendors are walking in, and they're not so vendors. All the attendees, they're coming in, and they're lining up. And dude, the line to this place in the mornings has been insane.
And you were just strolling past them. You just go,
"Adios," in my true Spanish accent. "Adios, amigos," you know. Straight in, and straight in. We get to put our feet up, and you know, and because it is happy hour here, so I'm actually enjoying a cold beer. So, you know, what would a show be if you didn't get to have a few beers at the end of the day, right? And
exactly. So, like, just for our audience. So, you see, this is day 3, day 4.
This
is day 4. Show or 4-day show?
It's a 4-day show.
It's a 4-day show. So you're right at the very end. You're at the tail end of the show.
Yeah.
So you would have found like some amazing products like throughout the show. I mean, I'm guessing that because obviously you've been exploring the halls and checking out everything. But just tell me, like, what is the show like? I mean, last time you attended ISE, we were there together. We're in Amsterdam. It was February 2020. It was just before COVID. How does this show compare to that show in Amsterdam 2020?
Look, I've got to say, it's chalk and cheese, I think. You know, and that's the only ISE in Amsterdam I went to.
Mm-hmm.
But the energy in this one is like electric. Like on day one, I'm standing up doing my influencer thing at the top floor, and I'm watching the people come in. I'm trying to capture some content, and then they did this big countdown on the LED signage, and it was just like. And they played some pumped up music, and the energy was just really, really off tap, and it has not stopped. Like day one was. Don't quote me on this if you like, but it might not be true. Day one I think was the biggest day one they've ever seen.
Wow.
Yeah, I did hear a number, and I think it was 37,000 people through the door on day one.
That's huge.
68,000 pre-registrations at the time of the press release on day one. Then they allow for walk-ins and stuff like that. But then they have a 15 to 20% no-show. So I don't think it'll be the biggest one ever. I think that was 2019.
Yep.
But it's going to be right up there. And I'll tell you what, they have 1,000 exhibitors.
Wow.
Right? So to get through the place, I just don't think 4 days. You just can't do it in 4 days, right?
Not enough.
No, and you couldn't stop at every booth and get through the 4 days. It's just absolutely not possible. Yeah. So
and what about with the exhibition space? Obviously in Amsterdam, I mean, there was, I don't know, what is there, 13, 14, 15 halls. It's all over the place. So for those first timers, the RAI in Amsterdam is really, really difficult to navigate.
Yeah.
You don't know where you are. It's hard to work out where to go. What has this show been like?
Oh, look, it's this whole Feira de Barcelona. How's that?
Perfect.
Is actually really easy to navigate.
Okay,
so
good.
You literally just walk in the front door, and there's a hall. There's 8 halls.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not sure where number 1 is because
There's 8 halls. Okay.
Eight halls. Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm not sure where number 1. There is actually It's actually on the back of your whole tag, right? So number 1 is actually not even on here. So there's 2 to 8. And literally you just walk in and you just keep walking. So if you want to walk, left is hall 2 and right is hall 3, and you walk outside, inside. Left is hall 4 and 5. Actually, I don't know where 5 is. 4 is. Now I think about this. Oh yeah, that's right. There was an Internet of Things on the hall 4, hall 5, hall 6, hall 7, which was the audio hall, and then hall 8, which is the audio demo room, which was upstairs and down the way a bit. So it was
but
really
it wasn't
well.
like Barcelona. Sorry, it wasn't like Amsterdam. Okay, good.
You don't get lost.
That's good.
Yeah, it just kind of it's really easy to navigate. There's plenty of hallway access. You're not literally tramping on people, but it's just electric. Yeah, the whole place is just electric.
So it
really
feels
good feel.
like the shows of old, like back in the good old days?
Yeah. It's absolutely, it's the best show I've ever been to.
Wow.
I never got, obviously, to 2019, which was probably I think the biggest ISE on record. But it was it's a really good feeling of, you know what, we are back. We're back with a vengeance, and it's just really electrifying. It's just a really cool place to be. You know me, right? 4 days. After day 1, I'm useless, right? Because I haven't had enough sleep and I'm jet lagged and everything else, which is what was. So this time I've given myself a little bit more room, and I'm feeling great. I'm absolutely pumped. And this is the 4th day, the last hour, and I'm just like, I'm still buzzing with energy. It's really, really cool.
So tell me, were there any? Did you come across any themes of the show? Like, was there something in particular that kind of stood out of a direction that these manufacturers or trends that were going on at the show?
Yeah. Look, AI is just sort of in everything at the moment, right? And it's not even about AI anymore, right? It's just like everyone's taken for granted that AI is here and it's in it and we're using it.
Well, we spoke about this on our last episode where we said it's just standard. It's just baked into most products.
Yeah. So the conversation's not necessarily about AI. It's just about we're doing this with it, right? So But what has really stood out to me is the convergence. I'd rather use the partnerships that a lot of these manufacturers have created and formed. I'll give you an example. Was Lumens have got a lot of it's called Cam Connect, I think is their new product, right? They've just launched, and they've partnered with Sennheiser, they've partnered with Shure, they've partnered with Nureva, I believe. I think they're on the table with Audio Technica and different other microphone manufacturers. And what they're doing is they've got it's just a black box, right? Because there's not a lot of data. So it's just a little widget. They're pulling the data from all these microphones, and they're essentially setting up presets. Well, sending strings to call a preset. right? So what that means it's doing is it's tracking, essentially, the video's tracking audio. So when
so you've got like a PTZ, PTZ camera in the room, and it's using like beamforming technology from the microphones
100%.
to work out who's speaking and just going bang, bang, bang. Is that with one camera or multiple cameras?
Well, in this instance, it's just one, right?
Right.
But no doubt, I know that Hubley are doing some really cool stuff around that and being able to. But I think they're using different technology, not necessarily microphones.
Right.
They are using AI, right, to generate the best angles and different things like that. But Canon, Canon have come out with a piece of software that is audio tracking, and they've got it in. It's in one of their cameras now, but it'll be in that same line with the same technology, and they've partnered with Sennheiser as well.
Okay.
And it's a simple little app that you download, and it is so accurate. Like I went into this room, and that they've got the camera there, and you just start talking, and the other person talks, he claps, I clap, it spins back, and back and forth, and the app allows you to adjust sensitivity, essentially, I suppose it would be, on how
fast it reacts.
How fast it reacts. Do you want it to spin really quickly or not? Like, do you want it to pan gently, or do you want it to sort of pan really, really quickly to that speaker? So it's not a scene. It's actually just where the audio is coming from.
Yes.
So it's a really cool piece of software. It was like they only started writing this thing in September last year, this piece of software.
Oh, wow.
Right? And they're launching it here at the show. It's just an app. It's really quite simple.
The only thing that concerns me, though, like when we only have one camera, like probably the best solution that I've seen to date it would have to be the Cisco product with the dual cameras. And what it would do speaker track, right? So what it would do is actually do the same kind of thing. It's tracking who's speaking within the room, but because it was using dual cameras, what it would do would be 1 minute it's on you, I then start talking, the other camera pans over to me, and then it's a cut. So when you've obviously, because you've got two cameras, you can actually cut between the shots. When you've only got one camera, you're seeing the camera move. I would have thought that was distracting. Did you feel the same way?
I think you'd have to be really careful on the sensitivity of those cameras. Like, if it was literally going boom, 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 you go, oh, this is a game of tennis. Like, we're getting very dizzy. But when you set the priority on those, or like the Canon one specifically, you can set the priority. So if the person doesn't speak, if they sense the person speaking over here, and the priority person hasn't spoken for 5 seconds, then turn it. Right, but so that was really good that you could give it some priority, give speaker priority, and give it a little bit of time before you want it to turn, different things like that. So you've got to be a little bit strategic in the way that you would set this up and the way that you would use it. But essentially there was that technology that was starting to really come to the fore, and I think Zoom does 3 streams I think now. MTR is one, but inevitably it have to be multiple.
Yes.
And I think when they can do that, it'll be...
cool. I believe that's coming soon for the Teams rooms, like a second stream, which makes a lot of sense, I believe. I heard that Sony also released a new camera that had some AI built into it on the edge, where it does auto tracking, auto framing. Did you get a chance to hit the Sony booth and have a look at that one?
I got into the Sony booth and I got quite distracted. There was some... That's unusual.
That's a surprise.
Yeah. But Sony had some really cool things. I didn't get into the cameras. However, one of the things they had was their audio beamforming, I suppose you'd want to call it.
Microphone?
No. It's speaker speaker technology for steerable audio. That's what it is essentially. And you'll see in my videos, they've got a big 250-inch LED, and they did this massive demo with audio audio arrays left and right and the front, and they're steering the audio, and they give this demonstration, and literally, if you walk 3 meters over there, you can hear everything that's going on. You walk 3 meters back, you can't hear a thing. You know, like, and they have void areas, and so I was sitting there going, wow, this is actually, I mean, it's not necessarily new, right? That sort of stuff, but it's kind of new to Sony in that sense, I think, in that they've gone, and their whole pitch is putting the audio back into AV, and so they really had a bit of a splash at that. The other thing that was really cool is they made this virtual studio. And
this Sony made a virtual studio,
as did
I
LG.
think Canon did as well. Didn't Canon do something? I saw something on their stand. They had some sort of backdrop and virtual studio as well.
Yeah, look, a lot of them have done it. And there was plenty of green screen stuff. Like Blackmagic had green screen stuff, and they got this massive new keying out unit. But it feels like to some degree we've moved past green screen already. In these guys, they're using LED. I mean, I think if you see some of the news stations and stuff in the States, they're using massive LED to make these virtual studios. The real cool benefit that brings is the ability to punch the content out really, really quickly, or in real time.
Well, you're doing that's right. You're doing it as the scene is playing, then post-production.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're just feeding it through, and they did this. LG did a great demonstration, actually, as did Sony. It was kind of a little different. Like they both had their massive, beautiful, big cameras that you're looking at, going, wow, there's probably $100,000 in their camera. However, they're punching through to a live, like Sony had a live stage, and they put or a live bench, and they put greenery on it, right? And then on the LED behind it, they put a forest. So what it did is gave real sense of depth. And if someone went behind the bench, you could put your head up through the bushes, right? And you could see it coming through on the screen.
Sure, something that you would do.
Yeah, there's a few people that did that. And then on LG stand, they paid a dancer to come in, right? And he did this massive.
I don't know if I want to hear this. Was this like the robotic dancer that we had a couple of years ago?
No,
different dancer.
Yeah,
okay.
if you want to know more about that, go back to some ISE 2020 podcast or video cast that we did. That was a bit more detail around that. But they had this. It was a Korean contemporary dancer or whatever he was. But it's what's really cool. They get a lot of depth out of it, right? Because they essentially make a diamond out of the LED. So there's a floor LED and then two side walls.
Okay.
And the real secret is around this this tracking technology on the massive camera. Like I think the camera's like $100,000, right? And then in the software they just set up this hot zone, and that's the LED. So then they fill it digitally with a bigger stage. So you can make the stage look so much bigger digitally, and it does not look fake at all. But if they step outside that hot zone, which is essentially off the stage, doesn't matter, then they disappear, right? And it's just this digital image. So, it's really, really cool technology. And just, I feel like the world... whilst that probably whole set and stage is probably, I don't know, I'm going to say $1 million, right? Because there's a lot of LED and camera and whatever.
A lot of equipment probably behind the scenes to generate all that.
But it's everything starts at that, right? Doesn't it? Like all our technology starts at, man, that's so expensive. Yeah. And then we bring it back bring it back into layman's dollars where we can all start to do. We can put that into unis, or we can put that into corporate spaces that want to create content. That's got really good training. They want to do really good training, and they can create that content with really good backgrounds and whatever, and even into education, K-12 sort of stuff. It will it'll flow through. So, those two guys had a really good chop at that virtual studio.
And what about? We saw at ISE at CES a couple of weeks ago. LG had their wireless displays. Did they bring them to ISE this year? And if so, did you get to have a look at it?
I didn't have a look at it because once again I got distracted.
Oh my God.
Pretty good at that.
Surprise.
They had what they did have is
butterfly.
Yeah. Anyway, what they did have was their 8K 272-inch 8K,
What?
0.78, I think it was, off memory,
God.
LED display on display. So,
I'm sure that would have looked amazing.
oh yeah, it was sort of like, you know, wow. You know, you're sitting there, you just caught your eye and you just looked at it for a while and went, holy crap. You know, Struth, you know, like, crikey, mate.
That's what you should have done.
Yeah.
You should have done a video going, crikey,
Like,
look at this little critter.
oh, yeah. Isn't she a beauty?
Yeah, look at him. Oh, my God.
Yeah, so that was something to behold. I mean, there's a lot of LED in this whole show, as you would expect, right? But
Yeah.
and I really think that technology is really starting to mature. It'll be interesting to see where it goes. Like, you get to it now and you go, how much? I think LG, that display was 0.78, and they also have a 0.68. They didn't have that on display, right?
Oh.
But you go, how much more can you go?
How far do you go?
And then, what
But in
happens from
saying
there?
that, like, but when you've got those large walls, then obviously, like what you probably don't need to go below 0.7 because of the, you know, it's so huge, and you have to stand so far back. But like, by further developing the technology, you know, what about smaller displays? You know, when I say smaller, what about a 95-inch LED display? Because obviously, then you go, the smaller the screen, the smaller that pixel pitch that you want.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's, I don't know, man. I just feel like
There's no need to go any smaller.
Yeah, oh, you know, I've seen a few of those small ones that would have been 120. You know, and even like even the ViewSonic, they released it at Integrate, I believe, but it's here as well, and they're foldable. I don't know if you've seen that. The foldable LED, it's 135 inch. I think it's 1.35. It's
What,
so
it
it's
folds out or something
yeah,
like that?
it folds at like 1/4 and 3/4 vertically.
Okay.
Folds in, and it's on a motorized trolley. So literally, it's an integrated LED. So essentially, you can just push this thing around. You know, you've got speakers on the bottom, you've got HDMI inputs, and away you go. It's like running Android OS at the back of it, and it's beautiful. You know, so
Just to clarify for our US viewers, our US audience, trolley. This is something that I had to learn. I call them trolleys as well. You know, you go to the supermarket, you push the trolley, you get the trolley around. So in the
What do you
US,
call
they're
them?
called carts.
oh,
They're carts, right? A trolley is something you ride on, you know, like in San Francisco. That's a trolley, you know, like a tram. So
yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
So I get pulled up on it all the time. I just thought I'd clarify that they're not putting it in a tram and wheeling it around in the tram. It's actually on a
or
cart.
a shopping trolley. Yeah.
Or a shopping trolley. Exactly. So speaking of displays, like 21:9, I know that when I was at Infocom and I was talking to the guys from Sony and like it seemed like there was a bit of a, like that 21:9 was starting to become more of a standard or becoming more popular with the manufacturers. Obviously, we've got Microsoft Front Row who utilize 21:9 displays. Did you see an uptake with the manufacturers building 21:9 displays at the show?
Absolute bucket load.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
look, it was very impactful, and I guess the thing is that we haven't necessarily seen those displays in Australia. You know, there's
Yep.
2 or 3 that have got them out, and I think that's why. I think that's because of the freight costs. To be honest, you know, the amount of real estate that takes up in a container that would just make the 21:9 display, unreachable. But there was a lot, and in fact, Epson made a really a nice splash with their 10,000 ANSI 21:9 ultra short throw with the snorkel on it. You know, it just looked really nice, and it was a really good example. But the other thing I've seen with them, you know, like ViewSonic have got one. There was
LCD or projection?
Sorry, yeah, this is LCD, and they were making interactive, and a lot of the IFP guys have done that, right? But there's a lot of those around. I believe Panasonic had one on their stand as well, which was 21 by 9. I think that was projection. I can't quite recall, but the Epson one was quite front and center in their stand, so it was really easy to pick up and see. And they built the classic sort of desk around the front, so you've got the front row people in the screen, and then you've got, and I think they're just using like a Logitech Rally or something along those lines, and then 4 or 5 people physically sitting in front of it, and so you're having this full on VC essentially, and it's quite good, because then you get, obviously the content is 16:9, and you've got your chat and raise hand, I think, on the other side, and so there's a real trend, but I think there's opportunity depending on how the price comes in. Like 21 by 9. It's a big screen at 100. Like
Just trying to get it into a building, right? I mean, just because of the dimensions. I mean, I love the concept of it. I love it. Yeah. I think putting it into standard meeting spaces where we have more real estate, because you think about it on a whole. Like, I know myself, I use a 21 by 9 monitor on my desk every single day. It becomes the standard. Everywhere you look over here in the US, everyone is using 21 by 9 curved displays, and they've come down in price. They're cheap. You buy them for like less than $500, and it becomes like a once again, this sort of standard that gets brought in because people are used to it on their desk. So once again, there's kind of an expectation. They go into a meeting room, they have all that real estate as well, and they don't at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it'll open up other opportunities. Like, you sort of stand there and you look at the IFPs, and no doubt they'll bring them out as just a standard display at 105 inch. Like 105 inch is a big screen, right?
Yeah.
And you look at it and you go, I wonder if they'll use that for digital signage. The biggest challenge right now might be making content to that aspect, but a decent graphic designer would do that pretty easily anyway. So. That's a big screen. It makes a big impact and you've got no bezels or anything sort of stuff like that to deal with. You don't have to do a video wall.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that the content would be a problem, because you think about it, LG have been making those odd aspect ratio displays for digital signage for years, where they take a big panel and they chop it up into like thirds or quarters, and so like content. I don't think content creation is a challenge for these people, and I think also we're so used to looking at 16 by 9 displays, and it just becomes, we become a bit immune to it. So it's kind of like you got to mix it up a little bit to sort of stand out.
Yeah, to catch people's eye. Yeah,
absolutely.
So it'll be the newest craze, no doubt, for sure. So
okay.
Yeah, that's good.
And so tell me about maybe some new products that you saw, some products that impressed you. I know Biamp had a couple of products on show, maybe some touch panels and a new soundbar, I believe.
Yeah, the Parlay soundbar, I believe it's called. Yeah, look, do you know? Look, to step back a little bit from their products.
Yeah.
The Biamp stand was impressive. Right? It was really.
In what way?
It was just really nicely laid out. It was really easy to get through. Like, they were one of the only people, I think, that had carpet, and quite padded carpet.
What do you mean? Who doesn't have carpet on their stand? What are you talking about?
Like heavily padded carpet, right?
Padded carpet, okay, comfortable
carpet. Because those poor bloody reps, they're going to stand there for days and days on end, and their legs must be killing them. But it sort of gave a really good feel. It gave a really nice, not exclusive, but luxury.
Luxury kind of, upmarket.
Yeah. So, and Biamp's got products that are upmarket, but they've also got really now a lot of products that are, very cost effective, right? And so they've got like the A-Part brand that they bought 12 or 18 months ago. That brand is now dissolved, right? And they've rebadged all their stuff to Biamp, and sort of looked at anywhere where they've got clashes, because they've also, as a part of the A-Part purchase, I think they bought Community. So Community speakers, if anyone knows Community speakers, they're beautiful for voice, and there's such clarity, and they're a really nice speaker. But there were some clashes in their product ranges, right? So they've cleared up all that, and what it's Rashid Scaff's right hand man. I just can't can't recall his last name, but he's the guy that's sort of responsible for getting some clarity around all their ranges, what Biamp is, who they are, and where they're going. There's a lot more clarity when you walk through their stand on all their product sets. And what was interesting is they didn't put themselves in the audio hall.
Oh, interesting. I mean, they are known as obviously, that's their background, right? That's their history is audio. So where were they?
Yeah, they were in the multi-technology hall, which was, I think was...
like collaboration or something like that? Like UC...
No, that was a hall on its own. I think that was I think that was hall 2. That's where a lot of the MTR stuff was.
Right.
But they put themselves in, where Crestron is, and I think it was just up the road, just up the way, actually, from Crestron and AMX and all the Harman brands and stuff like that. So, they've done a really good job of their stand. They've got a beautiful little 8-inch touchscreen control system now that's got the processor on board. And you look at it, it's a really nice look and feel that they bought in. We've got
a project coming up here in New York where I've specified that product. It hasn't, as far as I know, it hasn't been released. It's coming out in the US in March. So we're really excited to actually see how it performs, because obviously, with Crestron supply chain issues, we need to be looking at alternative products. So I hope it does everything that they say it does.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, they bought the Neats brand. Yeah. And so that's obviously rebadged. And so, look, it'll be really good to see how all that sort of falls. The other one notable product in their range was the Parlay soundbar, which we touched on just before.
What did you think?
Look, I thought it was really good, and the reason why I thought it was really good was they've got their new touchscreen. I'm just don't mind me. I'm scrolling my phone just to make sure I get the terminology right.
Texting the missus.
Yes, I do. On a podcast. Don't wait up.
Grab a loaf of bread from Woolies on the way home.
Yeah. But what they did is it's called Biamp, their noise reduction, right? And so their noise reduction algorithm or software, or whatever they're deploying into that Parlay speaker brand or speaker bar, essentially, what it does is it gets rid of all the thuds and the claps and everything else. So
rustling, papers, and all that distracting noise.
And they did some real demos, and they were zooming. Some on the far end, and he's doing the big clap, and it was just gone. You couldn't hear it. You could see him clapping, and then he would just start talking, and off it would go. So they did a really good job of that, and I think that's a bar that's going to do extremely well. The other one,
just whilst we're on that bar, what did you think of the price point? Because in the US, that has a MSRP of $2,500. How do you think that sits in the market compared to all? Because we are flooded. Like we are spoiled for choice when it comes to sound bars. I mean, you've got Neat, NEAT, you've got Jabra, you've got Logitech, you name it. Nearly every Crestron, Poly, Cisco, like everyone has these bars.
Yeah.
At $2,500 with those features, where do you rank it? What do you think?
Oh, well, it's the top of the market, isn't it? Look, from that audio perspective, I think it sounds beautiful. Right, even voice and audio in that room sounded fantastic, and there's a noise floor potentially in that room in a trade show of 40 or 50 more, dB.
Yep.
So, and it performed extraordinarily well, and that's a big word in my vocabulary. So I don't take that too lightly. Look, I think it'll have its place, and Biamp is always a bit like that. I think they've always had their place where there's better, price points out there. But do you want something that's going to work exceptionally well, or do you want the other stuff?
I just look at it.
No.
So you look at the somewhat equivalent. I mean, we could get into all the specs and compare them all in detail, but if you look at, say, the equivalent in poly, so there are 30. Okay, look, and you could probably argue that maybe the camera in the biamp is better and the audio is better and so on. But in saying that, poly has the same algorithm, well, a similar algorithm where it reduces all that. It has auto framing. I think it looks better, and it's like $500, $600 retail.
Yeah.
And that's the issue that I have. Ironically, Biamp came in and did a demo just the other day in our office, and I'm like, great product, doesn't look that great compared to other products like Neat, Jabra, Poly, all look better, and they're all cheaper as well. So that's the thing. I just don't think that they've. Granted, the technology is great. I just think the price point is too high, and the suite of products that their competitors have got, in particular Poly, they've got like 5, 6, 7 products in their range, in the soundbar range. Neat have got a few, and also Jabra have got a few. So I'm just like, I don't know. Like if it was $800, I think it's kind of a bit of a no-brainer, but I just think it's overpriced.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I guess the spin-off of that is the ease of install for some of this stuff. You know, what they've done is they've got also their room optimization built into that. So you can just run into
the audio. You press the button, and
it just optimizes the speakers and sound. So and the ability to deploy that. They've also built a bracket. I mean, these are value adds. It's not $1,500 worth of value add potentially, but they just solve problems. You know, so they're bracketing slides, up and down, and get to it, and all that sort of stuff for install, and that's all cool, that's all nice. But did you say $1,500 in install? Probably not. But from an aesthetics point of view, that whole bracket can move forward and back. So when you've got a bar and a panel on the wall, and often you can't get them to beautifully sit flush with each other. So their bracket is adjustable, so you can push it back or pull it forward as needed. Like they are the finishing touches that have probably they're putting their price point around, I guess. So look, I didn't get too much into that price point. I just looked at the product. And it's a really nice product. So
it's just a crowded space. That's all. Like
there's
a lot of competitors, and a lot of those competitors have got some great products. And I just. And I love Biamp. I do love Biamp. I think
there's no secret.
On a whole, their products are they make good product, and they have for a long time. And also, I'm a big fan of Rashid as well at the helm. I just think that with this particular product, the price point is not going to do them any favors.
Yeah. Look, maybe so. Yeah, and time will tell, right? So we'll see. So
what else?
Look, the other one, I think it's called Armenia, and it was touch-free touch, essentially.
Touch-free come on. What do you mean touch-free touch? What?
So what they've done is
touch it?
Yeah, what they've done is write this software essentially that picks up your finger, and they're using it's pretty well off-the-shelf hardware, Intel IR sensors and different things like that.
So gesture control.
Well, it's not quite. It's probably gesture control to the next level, right? Because you can flick and scroll web pages, you can point and click, you can do all this sort of really cool stuff. Two really distinct markets for it. One is hospitality or maybe trades, and I'm getting a wind up here, Pete. So
oh, jeez, what are you talking about? We're just getting stuck into it.
Yeah, we are. So we'll wrap up. But what's really cool about it is I can see where you might be doing hospitality and teaching people to cook and their gloves on or something like, or mechanics say, and they're running through a how-to on how to change an oil filter.
And they can't necessarily touch a screen. Yeah.
Yeah. So they can sort of just go like that from 3 or 4 centimeters away, and and use that. The other one would be on massive, 120, 130-inch screens where, like a Mercedes dealership or something, where you want to build your car, that sort of stuff.
Yep, you kind of just like pointing
make
to
it
colour.
red, put these wheels on it, put this interior on it. So yeah, so that was a real standout. They had a DeLorean too on their stand, and
the original DeLorean?
Yeah.
Or
I think so.
No, because there was a new DeLorean at CES. That's all. Because it's space age thing, but there was a real
there was an
older
DeLorean. I'm sure.
That's
cool. It was an old school,
Cool.
and then they
like
turned
that.
this into a game, like a DeLorean game, and were using the touch, and it was cool. And they're really a software. They built some hardware it's like staff to show their software, but essentially they're a software product. So they are. It'd be interesting to see where that goes. I guess I think it was just cool. Whether it's gimmicky, I'm not sure. Time will tell. Yeah.
Now, I know, obviously, you are getting the wind-up from the influencers booth at ISE 2023. But what I want to know, before we let you go, is are we going to see content from you? Did you capture a lot of content? And also, I know that you purchased a brand new Sony influencer camera. How did that perform?
Okay, so I'm recording as we speak, just there, looking at you, kid. And I thought when we do this editing, we'll maybe get some different camera views to keep things interesting.
Perfect. So we're going to get some clips from all the things that we're talking about, and we'll throw that into the mix, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But look, my 20mm lens did extremely well, and I suspect, whilst it's 20 mils, that maybe it's wider, but. It seems to be, it gives the effect that it's wider. I did have a couple of struggles with it. I had some struggles around trying to manage the exposure with bright screens and and deal with that.
I think you're going to get that probably with really any camera, though. Like, when you've got that bright light like that,
and a little bit more time playing with it. Obviously, that'll help as well. But look, I bought the three-legged thing. I've got that three-legged thing monopod. I also bought the three-legged thing Airhead Nero.
Oh, what's that?
It's a camera head, and I was able to spin and pan really, really gently and softly. So,
nice.
Hey, look, Pete, I will do. We've got to wrap up.
You're an influencer. You can do what you want.
I'm getting the evil stares from exit left over here. I'm afraid to look left right now because I know they're staring at me.
Do they know who you are?
I'm that guy. I'm the other guy. I'm the guy that takes way too long in the podcast. Mate, look, it's really cool. I'm going to go and have a few beers and relax.
Of course you are.
I wouldn't be me if I didn't.
Friday.
Right? It's Friday. It's Friday, and it wouldn't be me if I wasn't having a beer at this time of the afternoon. So it's been bloody great to catch up with you.
Thank you so much for joining us live from ISE 2023. We're looking forward to all the content that you're going to be putting out there on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all the channels. That's all coming your way, so stay tuned. Really looking forward to it. Thank you again, Mark. Looking forward to catching up with you on the next episode.
Looking forward to it, Pete. Thanks for chiming in. It's awesome. Great to see you.
All right, guys.
See you,
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.